So, I'd like to talk to you about an amazing concept that we find in the scriptures that we learn about from the Apostle Paul. Now, Paul, perhaps one of the greatest Christians of all time, was a persecutor of the church, met Jesus on the road to Damascus. He actually literally saw the light, heard Jesus call out to him, and was transformed. And Paul was an amazing man, and somehow, some way, he was able to stay positive in the midst of the most negative circumstances you can imagine. Now, we read about some of the negative situations that he went through. He says he was beaten with rods, beaten. You remember Jesus being whipped 39 times before his crucifixion? Well, that happened to Paul, I believe, 4 or 5 times. He was whipped and beaten with the 39 lashes 4 or 5 times. He said he spent a night shipwrecked, a night in the sea. He was in danger in every way possible, hungry, and he went through all of this unbelievable physical suffering. Yet Paul tells us that he learned a secret of being content whatever the circumstances. How did he do that? What kind of a man could go through that kind of physical beating, emotional beating, all kinds of things that he faced, and maintain a positive attitude? If you and I are honest, we know we have a bad day, someone cuts us off, and we're ready to have a bad day. And yet he stayed positive in the midst of the most negative circumstances imaginable. And we learn how it happened. We learned what gave him the ability to have that perspective. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, Paul tells us that he had an experience with God, a vision. He tells us he doesn't know if it was in the body or out of the body, but he was taken to a place, to the third heavens. The first heavens are the sky around us. The second heavens are the atmosphere. The third heaven is the literal presence of God. And Paul tells us that was an experience that he had. You can read about it, where he went into the literal presence of God. And he saw the Lord. He encountered the Lord. It was a revelation. He doesn't know if he was in his body, out of his body. He just knew he had that experience. When he came back, I believe that happened in the first 3 years of his salvation. And then he began his ministry. And he was fearless. It was impossible to get him negative, because no matter what he went through, he was always positive. Now, why? It was because in that encounter with God in the third heavens, in the presence of God, Paul saw what was coming. He saw where he would go when he died. Now, all of us as Christians talk about the fact that we know when we die we go to heaven, but we haven't had that experience. So we get so caught up in this life because we don't really know what's coming. Well, Paul knew what was coming, and that's why he said, I've learned the secret of being content, whatever the circumstances in this earthly life, because Paul was saying, I know what's coming. I was there, I saw it, and I know where I'm going at the end of this life. So bring it on. Whatever happens in this life, you bring it on, because I know where I'm going. I know what's coming. Heaven is real. It's an amazing place, and Paul is there right now. He's been there for about just under 2,000 years, and he's enjoying every minute of it. In our earthly lives, when we face negative things, we can stay positive. You know why? If we know where we're going. Now, I can't make God give me or you a vision, a revelation, where in the body, out of the body, you go and see heaven, but we can take Paul's word for it. And we can know where we're going. Nothing that happens in this life can really affect us, because we know that there's something so much better, and it's coming, and it's real. And listen, I can't wait to get there. While I'm here, I'm going to deal with whatever comes my way to the best of my ability, being inspired by the Apostle Paul, knowing what he saw, knowing where he went. I'm going there too, and so are you if you're a believer. So whatever happens here, bring it on, because our best days are yet to come. I hope this helps you. God bless you. Talk to you next time.